This video is not what you think it's about. No, I'm not going to sit here and talk about his relationship or the Misfits or anything like that. This is about Carson, SMP Live, and Lunch Club. I want to go ahead and apologize ahead of time because this is going to be my first ever commentary video, or video ever. So there are going to be a lot of mistakes, and I'm going to get a lot of details wrong, but how do you do this? How do you do this without reading what's on your screen? I have to... In the beginning of 2019, CallMeCarson had reached 1 million subscribers on YouTube. At the time, he was known for his collaborative commentary videos with himself and various very talented characters. At some point within time and space, however, SMP Live had taken Twitch by storm, and Carson and his friends were in the perfect time and place to create a group. This group would be called Goop, and it would consist of various personalities, but not very many people were certain who were and were not Goop Squad. On top of this, they would receive a cease and desist order from Gwyneth Paltrow. After experimenting with some other interesting names, they settled on the name Lunch Club. Lunch Club currently consists of Travis, Noah, Cooper, Ted, Carson, Schlatt, and Charlie. This power combo of creators is truly something else. Each personality has something incredibly unique to offer. Their collaborative content is very entertaining, and fans and I alike can't wait to see what the future has in store for this group. However, there is something concerning about the chemistry of the current group. That is not what I wrote. What's the problem? It's not Travis. It's not Noah, Cooper, Ted, Schlatt, or Charlie. It's Carson. No. There is something great about this group for everyone involved. They all have their respective streams, channels, and fan bases. However, Carson's stream is the biggest of all of them. Why is that? It's very simple. Carson's home YouTube channel, CallMeCarson, was a home for a lot of creative collaborative content with many YouTubers. The popularity of the content there propelled his streaming career, and the creation of SMP Live and exponential growth there and on YouTube led to the eventual dominance of the attention of many people in the Twitch community. Carson's channel is the heart of Lunch Club and SMP Live. While each of the respective creators involved are independent, a good amount of their individual audiences have watched CallMeCarson and CallMeCarson Live. Now don't get me wrong, Carson is not solely responsible for Carson is not solely responsible for the success of all the members of SMP Live, and I wouldn't argue that Carson is the reason they are successful. Their solo work is some of my favorite content to consume on YouTube and Twitch, and all of these creators were creating enjoyable content before SMP Live. My point is, most of these individual creators' views run through Carson's channel at some point. Now, you're probably hearing me say all this and you're wondering, Kenny, what the hell's the problem here? Clearly everyone involved benefits from this, and you're partially correct. Everyone involved gains a bonus of followers in their community, and everyone involved is blessed with substantial success because of this. If you stop your scope of career success at money, Carson is by far the best off out of anyone in this picture. His channel benefits from everyone else's audience and personalities. His streams are often driven by the creative banter of the streamers involved, and he and the people there know this better than any of us. As of late, Carson's self-published content recently stops at Lunch Club and SMP content. Other than the rare occasion when he gets with Mason and Josh and has fun playing GTA, Carson doesn't make content that reflects his personality or what he's interested in. The problem arises when you acknowledge that Carson has no other platform for content other than these avenues. That means, unlike most of everyone in SMP Live and Lunch Club, Carson doesn't create solo content, and I would argue it isn't because he doesn't want to. It's because every channel he has is focused now around collaborative content. When Carson came back, there was an immediate desire from his audience to return to the content that he left him with. The SMP and Lunch Club content. And of course, Carson and his crew are more than willing to do this. They work together for a reason. Carson, however, is clearly suffering from the same mental struggles he had before everything with Kate happened. When Carson was talking to Kate and everyone else before this pandemic and before the events that occurred recently, there was a clear problem on his conscience. Something about the content he was creating and the things he was doing was bothering him immensely. Before everything fell out with Kate, Carson had already been dealing with depression and had been seeing a therapist. Now, I don't know Carson as well as some people. The most I've seen of Carson are his VOD edits, his collaborative content from his main channel on SMP Live, and what he's streamed since returning in April. I also have seen, though, a couple of the podcasts he's been on, and I've watched a good bit of what was the Goopcast and what's now the Lunch Club podcast. However, I don't feel like it's mental gymnastics to come to the conclusion that Carson does not enjoy streaming, at least not in the pandering way he does it. Carson, as of late, has been leaving his stream content up to a straw poll. Before the end of his last few streams, Carson has thrown around a couple of ideas and just seen what people want to see. His recent stream that I've seen, however, shed some light on what's really going on. Prior to the poll, the gang had played Jackbox for the second stream in a row, and Carson has never looked more tired and weary from an hour-and-a-half long stream than this one.
That was exhausting. I'm exhausted.
I think that was really fun.
I'm ready to go for another 2 hours.
He decides to cut off early after what can only be described as the most chaotic experience I've seen. He put the poll up to 2 options. The options were Breath of the Wild or Totally Reliable Delivery Service, and you can probably assume what got the greatest vote. His response is what worries me. When he presents the poll to the audience, he identifies what kind of stream experience each game would be.
And so the 2 options here are Breath of the Wild, which would just be me playing Breath of the Wild, which I think there's a lot of hype for that for some reason, but I mean, it's going to be pretty chill and laid back, I'm fairly certain. And then the other one is Totally Reliable Delivery Service, and that would be done with like Josh and Schlatt for sure, and maybe Mason.
His response to the results of the poll are as follows.
See, people are picking Totally Reliable Delivery Service, and here's why. It's because I said Schlatt and Josh, and people were like, oh, I love those guys.
Carson wants to make solo streams, and I don't think Carson is playing Breath of the Wild outside of streaming, because for him, playing the games off stream is a waste of time in his current mindset. Now, I haven't presented his mindset, so in this next little bit, I'm going to show some clips from 2 podcasts, the Misfits podcast and A Conversation With by Philip DeFranco, and I suggest for you to go watch both of them. They're great, and they shed a lot of light on who Carson is as a person and what he wants his streams to be. And on top of all of that, they're entertaining. Just go watch them. They're great. In the Misfits podcast, Carson mentioned his obsession with growth and numbers. I believe because of this, Carson has put a lot of his chips into these collaborative content style videos. Roll the clip.
I gotta watch now.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have it on me, but it gives me notifications, so I get a dopamine hit.
You need that dopamine?
That's my real drug.
Yeah, dopamine?
Yeah.
Just like rewards.
I assess my self-worth.
Wait.
Yeah.
You think that could be unhealthy, that relationship with your stats?
No.
Follow that up with a clip from the DeFranco podcast.
If kind of like hang out with your friends is also part of work, if games are part of work, what do you do to not feel like you're working?
That's a genuine issue for me.
Yeah?
Because I almost never play games if I'm not streaming it, because it feels like it's a wasted opportunity. So to recharge, a lot of times I'll just lay in bed.
From some of the stuff that I've found from you, because you say wasted opportunity. That's a thing that you've said kind of multiple times, that you get concerned about wasted opportunities.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Wasted potential is a big thing for me. I don't want to waste anything.
Yeah, and I mean, and you're not only part of the generation that came up with YouTube already existing, but you've seen the burnouts, you've seen the people disappear, right? So it's like, yeah, I get it, but I really, really hope that you find some shit that makes you not feel like you're working, because that sounds rough, man.
Shit.
I want to help you find stuff, man, because I'm like very excited, but it's.
I work a lot, Phil.
Yeah.
I work a lot.
And I get that you don't want to miss the opportunity, but
Yeah. See, the thing is, working is fun for me too.
sure. But do you think that you get right now all your value from like your job? Because I've seen you talk about like how you used to be addicted to Social Blade, that you had a watch that like updated you as far as your
How do you
numbers.
know this?
I research for a living.
I'm not addicted to Social Blade. I would never be.
No, but I mean, you care about your numbers,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
they probably
It's
make
like
you
a
feel
game for me.
But like, do you feel like that's the number one way that you feel value in this world?
Yes, I take all my social value and validation from.
Of course, he doesn't get all of his social validation from his job, but I think he gets more from it than he's willing to admit.
If you have a video that doesn't do that well or does less, do you feel bad that day?
Yes,
Why?
because it
Does it mean the content's worse? Does it mean like?
it just means I'm not doing enough, I think.
In a world where our social media platforms are where we interact and talk with our friends and colleagues, if you create content that you aren't proud of or your content underperforms, the public eye sees that, and that image of you online is often adopted as your self-image. For an example, Schlatt has been making content almost weekly now, and as Carson puts it,
I'm actually super proud of Schlatt recently because he's been popping off with videos and I've been loving watching them. So, but about the baby, obviously
I
I'm
can't
worried.
imagine the mental fortitude it takes to work in this sort of environment and not feel like your own work isn't valuable because of this. Also, if you want to check out the video Carson's referencing in this post, the link will be in the description below, and here is a picture of the thumbnail. If your friends are creating content that you feel is more sophisticated than your own, you'll start to see yourself as a lesser person, both mentally and physically. On top of this, social media is not a place of truths, and when you host content that reflects yourself and your interests in the same place as fabricated reality show content, to say that Carson is having imposter syndrome isn't a stretch. In every interview with Carson, his response always is denial. He always says that looking at these stats is not unhealthy for him, but I would argue that to some degree it definitely has some measurable weight on his conscience. Carson's eagerness to keep up with the fold and produce meta content has got himself into a position of uncomfortable limelight, where he's put himself into a character that doesn't reflect who he is as a person. Clearly, Carson's humor is ironic, and a lot of his fans understand and embrace this 12-year-old humor Carson and his streaming buddies employ from time to time. However, at some point the line was blurred between what was Carson's ironic humor and what was Carson's personality, and a lot of it is related to his fan base. Speaking of the fan base, good God, do we have a lot to talk about. This does not mean his content isn't funny, because it is. His TwitchCon videos are one great example. When Carson is in a conversation, he really works the people around him into his humor. No matter what kind of creator, Carson can easily come up to you and get something funny out of you. My point is, when he creates or endorses a meme, his following works incredibly hard to spread it inside and outside of his community. In a lot of ways, because of this, Carson serves as an American PewDiePie, who represents memes that reflect a lot of gamer Zoomer humor. The difference is, the memes that stick from his channels aren't always ones that are well known on the internet. Oftentimes, they're created on his stream and channel, and only make sense to that community. The effects of this kind of community-based humor are observable in what feels like all corners of Twitch. You can go to any member of the SMP Live streams, and I'm willing to bet any amount of money that you will find a Carson stan quoting something Schlatt or Ted or somebody said in a highlight reel on YouTube. The problem is, this purposefully low-brow, annoying humor leaves the space it's made for, and finds itself in other streams and communities. The only time it is acceptable is when it's relevant to the content of the stream or the streamer. Bringing up random quotes and one-liners from videos is not funny, nor does it add anything to the stream or its content. Josh put it better than I really can myself.
Dude, I swear if I ever go to one of my friends' streams and I see people put plus 17.4, I will never play a game ever again. I was watching videos, right? And an autoplay was on YouTube while I was practicing today. And it played an old Schlatt video, right? And it played the one where he says that Marcus Pearson is Grum. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is where that's from. I had no idea. Like a year ago, people would say, oh, you mean Grum. Grum created Minecraft. I'm like, what the hell is anybody talking about? And now I know just how unfunny that is. Because it was a joke from another stream, which I had no idea about. So it's literally impossible for me to find it funny. That's just awful.
This is also very similar to PewDiePie's memes on YouTube, the main difference being PewDiePie's influence spreads much farther, and the few memes that he embraces about his channel are either kept within the fandom or accepted as a trending meme. The reason this isn't happening with Carson's community and the Lunch Club community is it's not defined by any means, still. There's nothing wrong with having a community that operates like this, but it causes a lot of overlap in the realm of community. And sadly, because Carson hasn't been streaming lately, or frequently, or publishing content on his channels very much, his fan base is reaching out to other communities to try and share their love for his content. And oftentimes this presence is unwelcome. You know, everyone who participated in SMP Live and everyone who is in Lunch Club appreciates Carson, and you know, they value his presence and his content, but oftentimes those communities are made to talk about the content of that streamer.
When is CallMeCarson streaming? IDK my past IRL. Hope you enjoy being gone for a significant amount of time. Guys, do not ask when other people are streaming. Number one, I don't know. Number two, I don't care. Number three, it's rude. Okay? If you do that after this point, it's your fault that you get banned. Or timed out or whatever.
So when you step in every community related to SMP Live and Lunch Club and you only hear about Carson, you know, what is the point of them having a communal Discord? Why doesn't everybody just create a Carson Discord and we all free for all? Just, are you in Carson server 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7? This kind of behavior is why Carson's content and his community have the reputation of the banned kid.
Boy, what are those? Peep the new drip. Respect the drip, Karen.
That's your fault. You, yes, you, are partially responsible for what is going on with Carson's headspace right now. And if you want this community to continue to thrive and for him to continue to make content, I would advise not allowing this kind of behavior wherever you see it.
I never actually felt this way until recently, but yes, I have felt sometimes regret because I'll never be able to have a normal life again, and that's pretty scary.
I know I've brought up a lot in this video, and I'm aware maybe not all of it makes sense or connects well, but I've shown you all of this for a good reason. Carson doesn't understand that we as a community value his content and want him to make stuff that makes him happy, and I don't know a better way of addressing this than this video. I understand the title and thumbnail are huge clickbait, and the talk around Carson has really gone on long enough, but I feel like we just aren't addressing what's important here, that being Carson and his mental health. I can't be sure this video will ever be seen by the right person, my words will be heeded by the right people. But if they are, I want you to remember that Carson is just as human as the rest of us. He has his doubts, and his embarrassment, and his humility. And he will, no matter how great his online presence grows. I made a comment about solo content earlier, and knowing all of this now, I want to address why I think he should focus on creating some solo content. Carson needs to have a better connection to his fan base, and they need to understand what he values and what he enjoys. I feel the best way to do this is to stream and publish content that's focused on him and the things he enjoys doing. There are a lot of ways to approach this, and I don't think he should exclude perhaps making a new channel for this, but posting and hosting it on his primary channels would better show the kind of person he is to his community. If at all there is a part of him on the internet that defines his character in the public eye, it'll be good for both his fans and his own personal self-image. Now, I want to leave off on a positive note, so let's talk about Carson's personality. Carson, in real life, is a generous and kind-hearted individual, and any interaction between him and his fellow streamers is always pleasant. I really love when Carson goes on streams that aren't his main channel. You can tell that he is so much more relaxed, and recently, Gus, Eddie, and Jakey have started streaming, and the last few times they did, he popped in, and it was really nice to hear Carson just vibe and not worry so much about putting on a show for his audience. Carson understands that he has to keep innovating and exploring, but he has a simultaneous fear of losing his current audience to SMP Live and that brand of content. I don't think that he will, though. In fact, I think no matter what he does, people will continue to follow his content and streams because the truth is, he is funny. And lastly, I want to say that Carson's success is also not attributed to SMP Live solely. That's all. This video took a lot of time, and the content of it had me really upset because on a fundamental level, I can relate to Carson's feelings of insignificance as a creator. As oftentimes as an artist, I feel my aspirations and goals are outlandish, and I often feel less valuable than my peers who study the same things I do. I don't want the same for Carson.